Morning. Oh, right over here. I covered it.
Well, staff, are you ready? Yeah. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of October 26, 2023 at the Commission Chambers. Item number one, roll call of officers, please.
Commissioner Underwood,
Present.
Commissioner Montañez,
Present.
Commissioner Lear, Commissioner Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Zargis,
Here.
Vice Chair Zerniak, Chair Acosta.
Present. Item number two, approval or changes to the agenda. And before we continue, if you have any cell phones, please put them on silent or turn them off. Commissioners, any changes to the agenda?
I'll move the agenda as presented. Second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been second. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Approval of minutes
Move to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
of regular meeting of October 12, 2023. Motion?
I thought Steve moved
Did somebody so we have a
Yes,
motion?
that was my motion.
And
Motion
it's
to
second?
approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? All right. All those that are for the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, the ayes have it. Item number four, old business. Staff? Nothing?
Business, Mr. Chair.
All right. One clarification though on the old business. Is there any way that you can give us, more clarity on property lines on cannabis businesses? Just to make sure, in case we have another issue like we had last time, is it property line or is it building to building or just to be, and if you have to clear it with legal, please do so. Okay, item number five, new business. Case number V 23-007. Staff ready? And is Mr. Rivera present?
He is here.
Okay. Did you sign in? No, sir, I didn't. Would you please do so? Because we'll swear you in when you come for your testimony. Go ahead.
1 second. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
State your name and address for the record.
Christopher Valencia, 845 North Motel.
And do you affirm the testimony you're about to give today is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Pretty good.
I just noticed your hand.
It's just a little sprained wrist.
You'll live.
I will live.
Oh, okay. That's good. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to try talking this morning.
Good morning.
This is our first case and only case this morning. 5A Z23007. The owner applicant is Cesar Mendoza. Location is 1875 Washington Street in Anthony, New Mexico. It's a T2 rural zone, and the request is a variance to the size of an accessory dwelling exceeding 1,250 square feet by 542 square feet. This is the location map, located right here, behind that parcel right there. This is the land use aerial. It shows the subject property is zoned in a T2 rural zone and is 3.04 acres. The applicant has applied for a mobile home installation permit to locate the 32 by 56 square foot, 1,792 square foot double wide mobile home on the property. The mobile home has already been placed and set on the property. The location of the mobile home already meets the required setbacks of 20 foot to the back and to the rear of 10 foot. Sorry about that. The applicant did obtain the installation permit required by New Mexico Regulation and License Department, which inspects skirting, hardwiring, plumbing, and blocking. This is the parcel close-up. This is a dated image. This mobile home has been removed and was replaced by site-built home here, so this no longer exists. And the the accessory dwelling question is located right here, 32 by 56. These are shops. These are garages and shops. So as of now, today, there's only this primary dwelling and the mobile home in question. This is the zoning map. We have a few industrial zones right here. This is, I think, an A&A wrecker. There's also Boone Transportation here, and this is the parcel right there behind that lot right there. Here's the concept plan. The current survey with zoom is this right here that we zoomed in. Again, there's an easement coming in through the house, coming in through the property. There's also an entrance into the property through this parcel right there as well. There's an existing sheds and shops and carports here as well. It's pretty large. And then the primary home and this is the accessory dwelling that we're talking about, 32 by 56. That's already been placed on the property. There were 16 letters of notification were mailed out to the property owners within the area of notice on September 7th. There were legal ads placed in the Las Cruces Sun on September 10th, and the signs were posted on the property in a timely manner. The agenda was also posted on the Doña County website. Here are the notification signs in front of the property of 1875 Washington. And this is the area of notification. Here, this is a picture from the applicant into the property. This is the existing shed. This is the center driveway past the existing primary dwelling to the right, and this is the mobile home in question. And this is also the primary home with a primary dwelling, and then to the rear is the existing shop, and even further back is the mobile home. On August 25th, an application for a variance to the size limitations for a new mobile home of 1875 Washington was submitted by Raul Rivera, a representative for Cesar Mendoza, the owner. The submitted variance is for 542 square feet over the permitted accessory dwelling area of 1,250. Due to the fact the accessory dwelling has an area of 1,792 square feet, the zoning administrator could not administratively approve the variance because the mobile home is greater than the 20% or less of the deviation from the numerical standard pursuant to the administrative variances. Therefore, the variance is for the 542 feet above the allowed 1,250 square feet for the accessory dwelling, which has triggered the public hearing. Subject property is 3.04 acres located within a T2 zone, surrounded by T3 zone as well. An aerial from 1980, as well as a liquid waste disposal permit was issued at the same time that shows a single wide mobile home north of the property alongside a storage shed, which on the concept, it's depicted as R&R. It's dated 2020. That mobile home was removed and replaced with a site-built primary dwelling that is there today. Legal access to the parcel is stated in the meets and bounds description from June 12, 2018. It says, altogether with a 25-foot wide and utility roadman easement beginning 12.5 feet to the following described center line, beginning at the midpoint of the north line of this tract and exceeding to the south line of New Mexico State Road, also known as Washington Road, and this is the end of this easement. The access is from Washington Street, and it's a county paved road, 50-foot right away, and there is a certificate of occupancy was issued for the primary accessory dwelling on 6/23/2021. Applicable plans, criteria for the approval. The variance will constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations of other properties in the area. 2, the variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to the properties or improvements in the area of notice. 3, that there is a physical hardship resulting from the size, from the shape of the parcel, or from existing structures on the parcel, or from topographic or physical conditions of the site, or in the area of notice. And the variance will, number 4, the variance upholds the purpose and intent of this chapter. Public safety and welfare is secured and substantial justice is done. Our staff analysis, the findings be 1, the variance will not constitute a grant of special privilege consistent with the limitations or other properties in the area. There is only one primary dwelling on the property now, measuring 1,890 square feet. The accessory dwelling measures the accessory dwelling mobile home measures 1,792 square feet. which exceeds the allotted size of 1,250 by 542 square feet. Permitting the 1,792 square foot accessory dwelling would be considered a grant of special privilege, as there are no other accessory dwellings exceeding that size within the area of notice. Number 2, findings. The variance will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, and is not materially injurious to properties or improvements in the area of notice. Approval of this variance would not change the way of life in and around the parcel of land. With the addition of another accessory dwelling, it is safe to assume that there will be a slight rise in traffic, but not significantly. B3, the findings. The request is considered a self-imposed hardship. Submitted mobile home permits show the total square footage of the double-wide mobile home is 1,792 square feet. B4, findings. The granting of the variance will not uphold the spirit and intent of the UDC. The intent create orderly, harmonious, economically sound development in order to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of the county, allowing a 1,792 square foot accessory dwelling where the maximum size allowed is 1,250 after the property owner has already purchased a mobile home will not uphold the intent of this chapter. There's a difference about plus or minus about 100 square feet between both dwellings. So therefore, on our side, both are considered primary dwelling units because they're basically about 100 square feet in size difference. The request and application is consistent with the requirements of the variances with Doña County, the UDC. The property is outside of any incorporated municipal zoning authority and was within Doña County. Therefore, the P&Z Commission has jurisdiction to hear this case. Pursuant to Chapter 350, 104.C.2, the Doña County Planning and Zoning Commission shall receive, hear, and make the final determinations on the applicant's applications for variances and special use permits as prescribed by and subject to procedures established in the UDC. Number 5, the variance request meets the 350.B findings of Doña County Code, Chapter 350 UDC Code. The variance will constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations on other properties in the area of notice. There are no other accessory dwellings on properties within the area of notice, allowing a 1,792 square foot accessory dwelling where the maximum is 1,250 would be considered as grant of special privilege. The variance will not be detrimental to the public, health, safety, or welfare, or be used materially injurious to properties or improvements in the area of notice. The amount of the variance requesting is 542 over the permitted size for the accessory dwelling. The square footage is 1,250 in question will not affect neighbors and or surrounding area public health, safety, or the welfare. There is a self-imposed hardship resulting from the size or shape of the parcel of the existing or from existing structures on the parcel or from topographic and physical conditions on the site or in the area of notice. The hardship is self-imposed. Submitted mobile home permits depicted the total square footage of the 32 by 56 to be 1,792. The variance does not uphold the purpose and intent of this chapter. Public safety and welfare are secured and substantial justice is done. Granting of the variance will not uphold the spirit of the intent of the UDC to create an orderly, harmonious, economically sound development in order to promote the health and safety and general welfare of the residents of the county. Permitting a 1,792 square feet accessory dwelling where the max is 1,250 after the property has already installed the dwelling will not uphold the intent of this chapter. Based on the findings and the analysis of the variance meeting, findings of UEC compliance with the variance requests, the applicant does not fulfill 3 out of the 4 findings for decisional criteria. Staff recommends denial of the case number V23007. Thank you, Commissioners. Any questions? And the applicant is here today. Representative, sorry.
Any questions of staff?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question of staff. Staff, can you please explain the difference between a primary dwelling and accessory dwelling and the purpose behind establishing the two and the limitation of, as I remember it, it had to do with preventing an illegal mobile home park being developed under the auspices of an accessory dwelling. But can you clarify if I'm wrong?
The first home being the primary dwelling, typically, the applicant would come in and speak and would, it could be as large as, please correct me if I'm wrong, it could be as large as they'd like. Once it's established as the primary dwelling, if a second home is added, it can be no larger than 1,250 square feet. Because these are both pretty close to size and area, they're both considered primary dwellings. But in this case, because it came in after the site-built home was first, the mobile home is being considered the accessory dwelling, which at this point, it's too large for what we consider a second home.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions of staff, Commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So staff, basically the 542 square feet is, he's not in compliance because of the 542 square feet, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did the applicant actually move the existing mobile home with permits and all of that, or not?
To my recollection, yes, there was a permit that was.
And then there was a issue with a well. Is it within compliance from the septic tank?
The septic tank, there's been no question about the septic tank. To my understanding, it is compliant, it's in compliance.
Mr. Chair, am I incorrect? I thought I read that they didn't discover that there was a problem until they came to apply for a permit, and therefore they hadn't really gotten a permit from the county. Is that correct?
I think we should ask the representative, I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
And let me remind the commissioners that it appears that Mr. Rivera is trying to come into compliance. And so we should take that into consideration, but we'll ask Mr. Rivera, but we'll keep going. So we'll ask some more questions of staff here after a while. Mr. Rivera, would you like to come forward?
Yes, sir.
And we need to swear you in, okay?
Okay.
And get closer to the microphone.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Raul Rivera, 1940 South Valley Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88005.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Morning.
Step forward a little bit closer to the mic, okay. How are we here?
So we are here today because a customer came to our dealership and purchased a brand-new mobile home. They wrote a check for, I believe it was $180,000. I didn't do my due diligence as far as permitting and so forth. Of course, I took the money and scheduled everything. We did tap into a well, we did put in a new septic tank, and all those permits are active. I've been in business here in Cruces since 2011, and this is my first variance dispute, I guess you can say. I hope the county is okay with, I mean, we did everything right as far as permits and everything, it's just the house is just a little too big, because there's another house that they're considering a primary residence on there.
Because I saw your letter back here on our packet
Yes, sir.
explaining to us what had happened. Are you living there now, or?
Am I living here?
Yeah.
Yes, sir,
No.
I'm at Las Cruces residence, yes, sir.
So you're living there?
The address I gave you is the dealership I work for.
According to the letter, it says that you're already present there, right? Am I correct?
I don't understand, I'm sorry.
There was a letter that was submitted for the packet. I'm trying to locate it.
Yeah, I wrote a letter to the county just stating, my intentions and what happened.
Excuse me, Chair. The Raul Rivera sold Cesar Mendoza the mobile home. Cesar Mendoza is the one that is the gentleman that's living inside the mobile home.
Okay. There was a lot of issues with this case.
The only issue that I was aware of, that the home was too big for the property.
Right. It's not that we would like to allow you to have a special privilege, okay? Because we don't want to open up a bucket of worms as we go down the line, okay?
Right, right.
Um,
No, and I'm not here for special privilege. I saw 3 acres. I knew that there was a primary resident there, but I missed it by 542 feet, square footage. They're not gonna put no more, I mean, I'm sure they're not gonna allow them to put no more mobile homes on there.
And we certainly don't want to give you a green light on the variance completely, but let me ask you a question. Is it going to create an economic hardship for you?
Not for me, for the customer. I mean, the home is already there. I've already collected the money. I think I've already spent it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
is the home permanently set?
yes.
That's right.
Is the home permanently set?
I-
Permanently set.
It is. No. Well, we use an XI2 permanent foundation system. If we apply with the state of New Mexico, they will give us a permanent foundation sticker, but we didn't do that with this home.
Okay, thank you.
Question of the applicant, the foundation that you have established, can it be used for a similar home that is smaller and meets the requirements?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Any further questions of, go ahead.
Just to clarify, again, I was looking at your letter as well. It sounds like the home was purchased, then the permits were pulled after the home was purchased and paid for, went, delivered the home, and as the permits were coming through is when you became aware of the variance.
Correct.
Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
If I can ask you to expand on that, wasn't it the state that issued the permit and then the county denied the permit?
The state issues a blocking permit to allows us to move the home to the property.
Right.
And then the county gives us the installation permit to give us permission to install the mobile home on the property.
But that one hadn't been issued.
Correct.
Right. So the state simply issues and says, you can use this mobile home and that's approved, but the county would hold the authority to issue the permit for the placement on that land.
Correct.
Okay, and that was denied.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Chair,
Go ahead.
just for clarity, I mean, how common is it for your company or company similar as yours to place a permit or place a mobile home on a property before the placement permit's been issued?
So like I said, we've been in business since 2011. We're familiar how the county works and stuff like that. They do take a little bit of time. My movers, everybody seems to be on a schedule. This is the first time that this has happened. It's never happened in the past. Have I moved a home without a permission of the county? Yes, I have, but we do get those permits. We make sure that we have everything we have deeds, we have, septic permission or permits, all connection permits we make sure that we have. But I don't make it it's not like I deliver my home and then I wait for these guys to tell me if it's okay or not. Because it could cost us a lot of money if I do a mistake.
So it sounds like you submitted for everything and everything was pending. Everything was in the queue.
Correct, yeah. And, it was a cash deal. There was no mortgage in between us, so I really didn't get to know how many primary residents were there. Mortgage companies want to know that. This was a cash deal, so I didn't really look into that.
Understood.
Commissioner, I know you have a question. What is your question? I saw your perplexing there. No, no question.
I couldn't understand you, Chair. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you're like a standard operating procedure, when you when you represent a person, like you're doing now, right, Mr. Mendoza? Do you do a little bit of investigative work to see if that mobile home would accommodate the requirements that the county,
Yes, yes, I have a contact, Mr. Ernie Campos. I email him the address, and he's really good. He's helped me out a lot. You know, he'll tell me whether I can put a home or I can't, or what I need to do to put a mobile home on there. Like I say, sir, this is my first mishap with square footage or variances. I wish that we could, you know, allow this home to stay there, and I'll make sure that I do my due diligence with every deal that comes through the county.
so it's just an error on your part?
That's correct.
Okay. We'll close it for right now. We're gonna have discussion here. Thank you so much for your
Thank you guys.
input. Commissioners, any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'm opposed to this request, and I would vote against it based on the fact, I believe it was an honest mistake, but it was still a mistake. And I think it does bring a detriment to the community, the surrounding community, as staff has recommended. So I'll be voting against it.
Okay, and like I stated before, I don't want to open up this bucket of worms that says we're going to allow a special privilege, and we'll continue to do that because it'll set a precedence, and I certainly don't want to address that issue, you know.
Like I said before, it was the first, this is the first time that this has happened. We know the consequences that can happen. This gentleman already opposed it. So if you all oppose it, somebody's gonna have to move that home, and it's probably gonna be the customer. I mean, I don't think that I'll do everything I can to help the customer, but, you know, it's also the customer's responsibility to see if he can put a home on there.
Sure.
You know, I took on the responsibility. I got excited. He wrote a check. You know, let's move forward. 542 square feet doesn't seem like a whole lot. The 3 acres that are on there, it's all fenced in. There's no, excuse me. Nobody's gonna, it's not detrimental to nobody.
And that's why I asked the question, it would probably create a economic hardship for Mr. Mendoza, right?
Correct, yeah. For him to move the home out of there, and he's already, I mean, he paid me the money. We already paid our contractor for a brand-new septic tank. We tapped into the well that's there through the environmental department of New Mexico. They gave us a permit. We got a permit for the septic. Everything's good. The only thing is, I did make a mistake and sell him a bigger home that was supposed to be on there.
Okay, and I do thank you for being diligent on the way you conduct business for your clients or customers.
Yes, sir.
And continue to do so. And if you can spread the word with the other people that we mean business.
Absolutely.
And so,
I will make sure that this doesn't happen with our company anymore.
right, to come in compliance with the codes that we have in force, okay? I do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, anybody in the gallery that is for this case or opposed to this case? Nobody? Okay, I'm gonna close it to the gallery. Again, Commissioners, basing it on, economic conditions, Mr. Mendoza is living there now, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I leave it up to somebody to postulate a motion.
Mr. Chair, for the purposes of discussion and according to the format of the way our operation works here, I would make a motion to approve this particular variance with the understanding that I am at this point against the motion, but I move that we approve it.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair, I want to explain my position to the applicant so he understands it. I'm certainly not opposed to what you've done. I applaud the honesty that you have and the integrity that you have to come forward like this and represent your client. I appreciate that very much. My reasoning for voting against this is basically having experience in Doña County, having seen a lot of wildcat mobile home parks develop under the guise of, well, it's a neighbor, or it's a friend, or it's a relative, it's my mother-in-law. And I've seen that happen, and it has degraded the entire community in a very short time. So my reason is not personal whatsoever. I completely applaud what you've done, but I need to vote against it for that purpose. So I just wanted to explain it.
You know, and I completely understand, we follow all the guidelines from the county. You know, we provide everything they need for us to get a permit.
Understand?
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
542 square feet is a very significant overage, and I don't, there would potentially be a different discussion being had if we were talking, you know, just a few extra square feet, and we do understand that oversights do happen. In my line of work, I happen to also get excited about cash deals, especially regarding new builds. However, it is my job and it is my responsibility to do the diligence, you know, to perform the diligence necessary, especially when it comes to new builds, to look into covenants and look into restrictions and county guidelines when it comes to you know, the size of a dwelling that's allowed on a lot size, and keeping that consistent with the rest of the neighborhood for very, very many reasons. And these are in place for a reason. I cannot support the inconsistency that this will you know, that this will end up causing. I feel that there are some unintended consequences. However, and this is also another unintended consequence, and it's quite unfortunate. You know, however, and just to just kind of echo what's been said already, we've been through this. We've been through this, you know, over the years where work gets started before permits are granted. You know, we've seen many cases where grading and grubbing has started. We've seen many cases where we've seen footings and wrought iron, and we've seen concrete being poured. And it is unfortunate, but unfortunately, you know, we as commissioners do have to, you know, protect the consistency that we're you know, that we're trying to create and trying to protect in the writing of the UDC, whether we agree with it or not. So unfortunately, I cannot support this variance either. With that, I yield to the commission. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Montanez. We don't use no footings, we don't use no construction, stuff like that. What we use is just a mobile home company to move the mobile home to the property, and then we use, the same mobile home company ties the mobile home to the ground. There's no construction whatsoever on the mobile home. I know you mentioned, you know, that we start working before permits and so forth, but I don't understand the concept of the footings and all that you mentioned.
Those are examples that I'm just using in, you know, that I've used in my line of work before, not a mobile home. However, I mean, if you want me to speak specifically to, you know, to this situation, in your case,
Please.
you went ahead and installed the mobile home before the permit was
Correct.
actually granted to you by the county.
Correct.
And that is, you know, that is the unfortunate deciding factor in this.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the reason I'm here today is that I've been in business in Doña County since 2011, and this is my first time this has happened. I know it's gonna cause a lot of, you know, it's for the customer. I mean, I don't know what repercussions I have as a dealer. I've already got the money, you know. I just wish that we could, you know, 542 square feet might be a lot to you, a little bit to me on this side of the aisle, but I wish we could all just come to an agreement and move forward from this and, you will never see me here again. I'll make sure that I get with Chris or whoever I need to get with so that we can allow our county residents to put a home in their property. It was 3 acres. I honestly didn't think that 3 acres was gonna, downsize the home that they were looking at.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Chair, we've had a brief discussion on financial hardship, and understanding it's not creating a financial hardship on yourself, but is there any idea on the type of financial hardship it will be creating on the customer that is going to be directly affected by our decision here today?
So the county denies this variance, he's gonna have to move that home out of there?
Do you have an idea of
Yeah.
the financial repercussions of that?
So, you gotta take the mobile home apart, and you gotta move it to wherever he needs to move it, whether it's outside the property or not. But you're probably looking about 10, 15 grand to move the home. Again, if he's gonna move it close by, it's not gonna be that much, but it cost us about $15,000 to move the home from my dealership here in Las Cruces to Anthony and put it together and set it up. So that's probably what it's gonna cost.
All right, thank you so much. We have a motion on the floor. It's been second. There's been discussion on the motion. I guess you're ready for a roll call for a vote.
Commissioner Underwood,
No.
Commissioner Montañez,
No.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Pass.
Commissioner Zargis,
No.
Chair Acosta.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so what is the tally?
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
no. 3-2.
Chair, the tally is 2 in favor, three against. So the variance is denied.
So there's 3-2, right? So he has approval. Is that correct?
No, the variance was denied, 3-2.
Chair, on a motion to approve the variance, there were 2 yeses and 3 nos, therefore denying the variance.
Denying the variance.
Denying the variance. And then also, so the applicant does have the right to appeal this decision to the Board of County Commissioners. So staff will be getting with them to talk about that procedure.
Okay, so the no votes are gonna have to explain now to us why they voted no, basically on land use ordinance, right?
Mr. Chair, just a point of order, a question of order, really. If we've explained our intent to vote, if we explain intent to a no vote, wouldn't that suffice as the explanation after a no vote?
Staff.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The only one that really hasn't weighed in was Commissioner Zargis. But Commissioner Underwood and Commissioner Montañez did explain why they were voting no.
All right,
I can add to my basis, and that is the fact that it would not uphold the spirit and intent of the UDC 35103.
I voted no simply because I feel, I agree with staff that it's a right of privilege and that the people involved should have checked on that square footage before they moved that size of a mobile home onto that lot. They should have been aware of those restrictions, especially being experienced people, and they pulled all the other permits, but they didn't pull this one. It's like an after-the-fact thing. You know, I feel bad that it's gonna cost them a lot of extra money, but I think they should have checked on any square footage restrictions before they moved that size of a home in there, not after.
I completely understand the decision. I just, is there anything we can do to keep this mobile home there for the customer? I mean, I understand the gentleman over on the left, there's permits and everything in place now so that we can stop what you've seen back in the 80s and 90s. I'm all for that. I hardly ever even deal in used mobile homes. All I deal is in new. I just don't think 542 square footage is something to oversee. I mean, if the customer paid 180 grand cash for it, I'm sure he has money to move it, right? But I don't think that's what we're here for.
And Mr. Rivera, I would recommend that you get with staff and see what the next procedure would be for you. And I do appreciate your honesty and your testimony. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Go ahead.
One thing is that, I mean, where I live, right across the street, used to be one of those Wildcat mobile home parks that was gone. Basically, the same arguments were used at that time for what wasn't really a legal park. I fully understand where you're coming from. I just wish that the owner, before he shelled out the money,
I
had
wish
taken a
I'd
look at that.
I wish I'd have done it too. I grew up in Doña County, down south. That runs plague down south. I don't, permitting, you guys just started, I don't know how long ago. That should have been started 30 years ago, because that's where the problem is over there. I don't deal in used mobile homes.
I understand that.
Mr. Chair, I just want to, I know staff has already mentioned this. I just want to remind the applicant that they do have the option to appeal to the commission, and I would highly recommend that. I would highly recommend that the applicant is also present, the applicant who purchased the mobile home.
Okay.
I think, one of the things that we have to remember is that what we're doing here is setting policy for down the road too. An approval of a variance like this, and I mean, 500-something square foot is bigger than any outbuilding I have. The thing is that we're establishing a precedent if we approve this variance where other people could come with the same thing. You did your homework and pulled all the permits. A lot of cases we see here, that's not the case. And
This is my first time here.
I know.
This is my first time here.
I understand that.
I've followed everything I can, but we'll move forward. Let's see what happens.
Just the one point.
I'd like to get a little bit of a pause. I need to speak to staff for just a second. Don't leave. Okay, thank you for your patience. Commissioners, let me remind you that it is going to be very, very expensive for both the, Mr. Rivera and the applicant to remove or replace that mobile home. As far as I'm concerned, it just appears to me that this is truly an economic situation, unbeknown to probably both parties. And the other recourse would be probably to subdivide, and that in itself is going to create additional problems. I would like to see, well, I would request that any commissioner would like to rethink and rescind their vote, I give them the opportunity to do so.
Mr. Chair, if I may, before we move forward with that action, I too would also like to appeal to my colleagues here on the dais and also encourage one of the dissenting votes to call back for another vote, that we move forward. This body on many occasions has had individuals who have blatantly skirted the permitting process come before us and admitted to blatantly skirting the process. I think here today we do have a legitimate miscommunication. We have a legitimate mistake that has been made. After reviewing the property and hearing from staff, it does not appear in any way, shape, or form that this would be in any way turning into what we are attempting to prevent, and that is additional mobile home parks sprouting up. I certainly do understand and feel for the comments made by my colleagues here today, but I will agree with the chair that I too feel that this is going to be a pretty big financial hardship on both parties. So I too would plea that we move forward with an additional vote. But prior to doing so, we would need one of the dissenting to call back for another vote.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to do a revote.
Mr. Chair, before we do a revote, I'd like to remind the commissioners that this is a self-imposed hardship. It's an admitted self-imposed hardship. The owner had a responsibility to follow the law. The salesperson of the mobile home had a responsibility to verify that everything worked before they made the transaction. And granted, it is a hardship, I acknowledge and admit that, but there are ways of remediating that problem to begin with. Smaller mobile home can replace the larger mobile home, and it can still comply. The future has the course, as I see it, of Doña County, if we set a precedent, sort of negates all of the rules that we've just been discussing. So I would encourage us to consider that before we revote. And my vote probably will be the same. So, thank you.
Commissioner Zargas?
I'm afraid my vote's going to be the same as well. I realize it's the first time this gentleman's applied for a variance and stuff. My concern is that it's clear in the law what the sizes can be. That should have been done first when they did all the other permits and did all the rest of that research. There's no reason they couldn't have done the research to say that that mobile home that they were trying to move was too big. Just seems to me that that's a failure of the applicant to do the diligence that was required to move that home onto that piece of property. So my vote's going to stay the same. This is a self-imposed hardship. It's unfortunate. I feel bad for the economic consequences involved. But, you know, there's an old thing about ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And not, you know, doing all the rest of that diligence without checking the size of the home seems to me to be, you know, not doing the due diligence that should have been done.
And let me remind you, commissioners, it's not so much an economic hardship, but you're actually displacing a family that's already living in a mobile home, unbeknown to them. And then in itself, for me, it's like, not being able to exist and living. That to me is really a tough call, and I understand that. Economics is one thing, and then the social portion of it, for having a family. Mr. Rivera, how many people are living in that home?
Husband, wife, and 2 kids.
A wife and 2 children. How old are the children? Are they under the age of 12? They are under the age of 12. Would they have any other place to go to? Or could you accommodate any of that? I can. All right, okay, that answers that. Thank you so much. All right, just basing it on that. And everybody's going to remain on the same vote, commissioners?
Mr. Chair, in retrospect, I would have appreciated these deciding factors to be discussed during commission input. Also, I do want to, again, point out that Mr. Mendoza is not here. Mr. Mendoza was, for whatever reason, I don't know if he was advised to or just decided not to show up here, did not show up here, did not give a narrative, did not write a letter. Again, I want to reiterate again that Mr. Rivera and Mr. Mendoza do have the option to appeal to the commission and to the Board of Commissioners, and they could see this. They can take all these factors and make a decision to appeal our ruling, and I would be completely okay with that. Our rulings have been overturned in the past, so my vote is going to remain the same as well.
Okay. Mr. Rivera, get with staff and see what the next step will be for you and Mr. Mendoza, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
All right,
very much.
thank you. All right, moving on. Item number 7, staff input.
Now, Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yes.
I mean, a call for a revote was made. Was there a second? Would that actually have to,
No, because
would a roll call have to be? Okay, thank you.
on the second revote, the statement was that all the votes are going to remain the same, so there was really no need for a revote. Okay. Staff input.
Mr. Chair, before we go to staff input, can we do administrative approvals? Item 6A, please. Okay. So we just wanted to let you know that for the month of September, we issued 18 new single-family residential dwelling permits, which are depicted in yellow on the map. And there were also 3 commercial permits that we issued. 2 were in the La Mesa area for greenhouses, and then the third one was for a hangar at the Doña County Jetport. In addition to those permits, we issued 15 additions to single-family residentials, as well as 12 additions to commercial permits. And then there were 20 mobile home installation permits issued. 12 were on private land and 8 were in mobile home parks. And then we brought in a total of $60,000, almost $500 in permit fees for September. Any questions?
There's one in La Mesa, right? What was that?
The greenhouses for cannabis.
And the one down south?
A hangar at the airport,
Oh,
Jetport.
all right, so there's quite a bit of activity down south.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
Item number 8, commission input.
Chair, before we move to item number 8, for item number 7, for staff input, I just want to mention that our chief planner, Janine Deviak, was honored on Tuesday's Board of County Commissioners meeting for 30 years of service to Doña County.
Yeehaw. Congratulations, Janine.
I remember when she was a baby
That's right.
I didn't know she was that old.
and used to be Dr. Zerniak's student,
That's right.
right? Well, it just shows you how young we are. Anyway, Thank you so much, Janine. It's really a pleasure to be with you. You're very, very, very intelligent, and guiding us forward with county planning and zoning, as far back as the ETZ, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 9, Commissioners adjournment. Chair entertains a motion.
Move we adjourn?
Motion on the floor has been second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Do we, are we, I'm really sorry to request this post adjournment, but do we have cases next, or are we scheduled? Okay. Okay. Yes.
And then